This is Dan Dicks here, reporting for Press for Truth. We're here in beautiful Acapulco, Mexico, and I'm joined by my good friend Jeff Berwick, the Dollar Vigilante. DollarVigilante.com is the site. Jeff, thanks so much for taking time out of this beautiful day to speak with me here today. Now, the topic of the day today is CBDCs, or central bank digital currencies. Now, if this is the first time you're hearing this, if you Google this right now, you're not really going to get a good explanation. It doesn't really explain what the intentions of its creators are. You know what I'm saying?
Nor will it.
No.
Yeah, and they'll never say what the intention is, obviously. It's a true Trojan horse to enslave basically the entire world.
Okay, so let's start.
That's the Cole's notes on it.
Right. So let's start with the differences between these new CBDCs and these cryptocurrencies that we've all come to know and understand better over the last decade. How do these things differentiate right now?
Well, we could go into a long story about the history of money and all that, but to put it fairly plainly, like I started the Dollar Vigilante, the fiat currencies like the Canadian dollar, the US dollar, they're all basically very close right now to hyperinflation, and they will go into hyperinflation and they will basically collapse. And they know that, and we know that. Most people don't know that, so if you're watching this, you know that too, but most people don't know. So Klaus Schwab calls it the Great Reset, and they're planning for it. They know it's all going to collapse, like everything's going to collapse. All the currencies, all the banks, all the financial system, and the economy will follow it as well. It's going to be really bad in the next few years. So they're coming up with their own plans about it, and they're like, well, we'll start up a new currency and we'll call it a central bank. They won't even call it that, but in fact what they're going to do, they'll just keep calling it the dollar. But it's going to be a central bank digital currency. That's what CBDC stands for. And they're going to tell people, listen, everything collapsed, you lost all your money and all that, but you can get some of it back. But now it's a different app you use on your phone, and it's direct with the government basically. And but it's still the Canadian dollar, the US dollar, and so just continue to use it. And if you use it, maybe you'll survive this entirely horrible thing that's going on. And basically what they're doing is they're going to try to make it so as everything collapses, people get into this, and then they have complete control over the money. Right now they have a lot of control over the money. If you still use US dollars and Canadian dollars, which I try not to, I try to use cryptocurrencies for everything, and gold and silver. But they have a lot of control. If you're using credit cards, if you got your money in a bank, they're tracking everything you're doing. And a lot of it's going to the government for the most part. But when they do a CBDC, that's going to be direct with the government or the central bank, which is basically still the government anyway. And at that point, they've already talked about their plans. Like, they talk about these things openly. That's what, we used to go to, well, you went to so many Bilderbergs. I went to a few with you. In Davos this year, they're talking about it, and they're actually saying, oh, this will be great. Once we have people on this, then we're going to start limiting them on their carbon. They're going to track it. You're already starting to see it on a lot of the credit card stuff. It'll show you your carbon usage if you took a plane trip and all this sort of stuff. They're going to start tracking that, and then they'll start saying, well, everyone gets an allotment each month. And so if you want to take a flight, well, you have to pay extra for your extra carbon usage. And as we've seen, they're basically Keynesian sort of economics people. And they actually believe it's insane and it's evil, but they believe that savings are bad. And that's why they've been talking for decades about how the U.S. is a consumer economy, and it's good when people spend, even after 9/11, which was a total inside job, and George Bush was involved, although they told him after, George W. Bush. But first thing he came out and said is go out there to the malls and spend money, because that's how you get a good economy. It's totally not true, but they're going to make it so you can't even save. And we've already seen that in the last few years with 0% interest rates, and in Europe, negative interest rates. So you're going to end up in a currency that has negative interest rates. It's going to get less and less. They're going to be inflating it just like they're now, so it's going to be worth less and less every day. Then they're going to say you have a certain amount of time to spend it, we got to help the economy. Then they're going to track everything you do, and they're going to say, oh, you can't do this month. You're over your carbon allotment. Then, God forbid, you say something bad about the government on FBI book, Facebook. all of a sudden you're not no access to your money this week, just like your Facebook account. That's what it's going to be once it's in place. And you know, this is all, they're moving forward on this incredibly quickly. This could be all in place in the next 1 or 2 years.
Well, some people think that this is simply just an idea at this stage in the game, but as I understand it, there are countries implementing this, like India, for example. As I believe they have started to coerce people into using it by giving them some sort of benefits if they choose that over the local currency. Have you heard of that? And are there any other places who have actually instituted this thing?
Yeah, they actually have some good news. In Nigeria, they was the first one to really go for it. It was about 2 years ago. And still to this day, I think about 2% of all transactions are done with it. So hardly anything. And if you talk to your average Nigerian, they don't trust it. First of all, they don't trust the government. Second, they don't trust the government's money. So that's good. So now they've come out just in the last few weeks and said that they're going to limit fiat cash withdrawals from ATM machines to like $20 a week, basically saying if you want more than that, you have to use the central bank digital currency. So just like you said, sometimes they use like, oh, you'll get extra benefits if you use it, or they'll start taking away like your ability to do things if you don't use it, and try to force people into it. But luckily there's plenty of other options, and really the other options are so much better in every way, cryptocurrencies, gold, silver, that people really should be using those things anyway. And so I think what we're going to end up seeing is a lot of people in the world will end up using those things, and they just become more and more kind of enslaved, and your taxes will come right off it. Oh, another thing they'll do, they've already talked about all this, is let's say we have a poker game, and we have our CBDCs, right? So I won $100 at the poker game. So you'd send me $100, it'd show up like $60 on my phone, right? Just like taxes, instant tax. It'd say, what's this for? And I'd have to put in something. Whatever I put in, they're like, well, you just earned some income. So they're going to be taxing everything, regulating everything with these things, but we can get around it all incredibly easy if people just start using cryptocurrencies and gold and silver.
Well, with cryptocurrencies in specific, I think it comes down to the difference of centralization versus decentralization, right? That's essentially what we're talking about here, because they want to centralize everything, whereas what we need is to move exactly away from that. Am I right?
Yeah, it's even more than that. It's about who controls the money too. They have complete control. Of course, a currency like Bitcoin, it has a limited supply. It's 21 million. It's been that way forever. It's probably not going to change. That's a huge part of the importance of money, is keeping the amount of supply limited. Otherwise, you have inflation, which causes all kinds of problems that most people don't even realize. And then, like we were talking about with Bitcoin, Bitcoin can't tell you what you spend your money on or anything. And in fact, when we send Bitcoin between each other, no one can stop us. Yeah. That is absolutely the exact opposite of these CBDCs. Mm-hmm. So you have much more freedom in every single way by using a cryptocurrency. And really, those cryptocurrencies were designed with this in mind, that this is where the world was going. Mm-hmm. Bitcoin came out in 2009, and the very first block actually it was about the 2008 crash. In the block, they put the text in the block that this is why Bitcoin is here for the next major crash after 2008, which is basically it's just starting now. It's probably going to be this year. And so it's all been created. And then on top of that, they've even improved on it. Monero came out in 2014, which is completely untrackable. So it's way better than even cash, because I could transfer it to someone in China right now. No one on earth would know I did. No one could know what I have. No one could ever see it. Monero is really like the most incredible innovation in human freedom in terms of financial things in human history. Before that, it was Bitcoin, but Monero has improved on it dramatically. And the problem with Bitcoin is, because it's a public ledger, the governments use things called coin analytics, and they track everything, and they're pretty able to track most things people do on Bitcoin, but they can't track one thing on Monero.
Well, it's good that people are getting their ducks in a line, preparing for the worst to come with cryptocurrencies, but what's phenomenally happening at the same time that these central banks are setting up these central bank digital currencies, they're also buying up as much gold as they possibly can right now, almost as if they're preparing for something. They know something's about to come down the pike, and they're not only creating the CBDCs, but at the same time eating up as much gold as they possibly can. A lot of famous billionaires are doing the same thing. But why do you think central banks are currently buying as much gold as they possibly can at the same time that they're setting up this digital global currency?
Well, people don't realize the entire monetary system was gold-backed until basically 1971, when it was taken off the gold standard in the U.S. And the only reason it's carried on is just because of the momentum of that. People were used to using dollars, but they took away the gold backing. Now we're at the end of this, and they know that, and we know that. And I think, they've always known gold has value. Gold's been used as money for like 5,000 years. It's the most proven money in human history. Like Bitcoin and Monero, Bitcoin's been around for 14 years, Monero's been around for 9 years. Anything could happen. It's still pretty young, right? So gold is really like the go-to for an asset to hold and even to use as a currency, as a money. So they know that, and the central banks very well know that. It used to be a thing that's what backed all the currencies. The central bank had a bunch of gold, and that's how they backed the currency. That's not the case anymore, but if they're going to continue, they might have to go back to something like that. And we're actually, like, the future isn't totally clear here, and it's not clear for them either. They don't know if this is going to work, and hopefully it won't, and it probably won't, actually. But in the meantime, we're seeing things like different countries want to trade with each other, but the Russian people don't want Chinese yuan, and the Chinese people don't want Russian rubles. So they're going to probably end up having some sort of a gold-backed currency. So that's why these central banks are starting to buy up gold. They're starting to see this. And that'll probably end up being something to do with the central bank digital currencies, too. They'll say it's backed by gold. But in the meantime, they are buying gold for sure. And, they're smart. They know where everything's going, and that's why they're buying a lot of gold right now.
Well, nobody can certainly predict the future, so it's tough to say exactly where this is all going to be going. But considering that, I mean, there are ways that people can protect themselves against these things, coming before they even come. Gold, silver, crypto. What sort of things people need to understand about this whole system they're trying to set up so that they can truly, escape it? Not only financially, but like to truly escape this beast system.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing. Like, I've been doing what I've been doing for about 12 years now, and as well as like you as well, a lot of people said we're crazy, but everything that's happened in the last 3 years, we've been talking about the government's going to be like becoming hardcore tyranny, going to enslave people, going to bring in this mark of the beast sort of a system, which is the CBDC. And what happened? We've seen like the truckers in Canada stand up, and what happened? A lot of them went to jail just for standing up for freedom, and a lot of them had their bank accounts shut down. So people are realizing now what I've been talking about, and yes, there's plenty of opportunity, and really what the case is, and what we really need is everyone to just start using cryptocurrencies. Most of the power of these governments is related to the control of the currency that people use. A currency is actually, it's like energy. That's why it's called a currency. It's like a current. So I'm actually sending you, I'm sending you my life force energy, because I've worked for that, and I've got it in this form, and then I can trade with you with my life form energy. But when they control it, that screws up the whole thing. If we can use a currency that they can't control whatsoever, we take away 90% of their power. All the wars stop. All these big governments have to go down to tiny governments or be gone completely, which would be even better in general. And it's as simple as everyone out there just saying, this is the thing. Everyone's got to take some action. So first of all, if you don't know about cryptocurrencies, like just start with Bitcoin. That's the easiest one. And learn how to use it. And once you do, go around to the shops in your neighborhood and go, do you accept Bitcoin? And they'll probably say no. And go, you should, and here's a few of the reasons why. At that point, you'll understand the reasons why, and you can explain it to them. And then you can even help them and say, here's how you open a wallet. And pretty soon, if people start using a Bitcoin, it takes away most of their power. Like, we have the power in our hands. It's right there, but most people haven't really started using it yet. And most people think they don't have any effect on the world. So many people are like, well, who am I? I'm not going to change the world. Yes, you can. Everyone can. And you should do it in little ways, but they branch out. If a lot of people are probably watching this in a small town. Try to get people in the town to kind of understand why they should start using things like Bitcoin and Monero. And you'll see a year or two from now, a lot of people will be using it, and the government's control will go down dramatically. And then when they bring in the CBDCs, you guys will be like, well, we don't care. We don't use dollars or CBDCs.
Fantastic words of advice. I mean, this is exactly what people are going to have to be focused on moving forward, because, nobody has a crystal ball. We don't know where things are going, but we have this madman suffering from dementia running, or apparently running the United States. We got potential wars happening, between Russia and Ukraine. We got this, maybe a stalled moment in this pandemic that could be coming back. So it feels like it's crunch time. The time is now to make these correct decisions. And I suppose that's why they call you the dollar vigilante. You kind of figured some of this stuff out. So where would you say is the best place for people to go right now if they want to continue to learn about this type of stuff moving forward from you?
Well, I've been talking about this for 12 years, so I'm banned everywhere. I'm banned on YouTube, I'm banned on Facebook, I'm banned on Instagram, everywhere I'm banned. So the best place, you can just go to dollarvigilante.com, and if you like videos, we've got your videos and all the great people here at Acapulco, all their videos at vigilante.tv. It's a great place to get videos, and that's really the best place to get that kind of information. That's basically it.
Guys, I'm going to have a link to that in the description below. Be sure you check that out. This is key information that you can't afford to miss out on moving forward, not just for yourself, for your family, and for your future. So be sure to check out those links in the description. Once again, man, Jeff, thanks so much for talking to me here and inviting me to Acapulco. This has been a fantastic event. You guys have Restream broadcast coming out. So why don't you tell people a little bit about exactly what we're doing here right now?
Yeah, you've been to most of the Acapulcos.
This is my 7th.
Yeah. So this is our 9th. So you only missed 2. You couldn't get out of Canada the last 2 years, I think, right? Yeah. So this year you could finally get out. So we're glad you're back. And yeah, this was the most amazing. I don't know about you. Like, have you noticed like how incredible this one is? Yeah.
Absolutely different vibe to this, but all love, all good. Everybody's happy. Haven't heard a single complaint. I mean, awesome job.
And the speakers, you probably have missed a bunch because we've been out. We tried to go on the boat the other day. Your wife had the major seasickness that I've never seen before. But we'll be going out of the boat again on Saturday. So you probably missed some. But we have all the replays of all the talks, and I've been actually watching it. I've watched over half of them because I'm busy too. I'm like, they're talking right now. I'm not watching. They are all incredible. It's like, if you know, like TED Talks, those are usually really well done, and it's like really good. The audio's good, the video's good, and what they're talking about is usually quite good, except for when it's Bill Gates talking about depopulation with vaccines and all that. We're like the free market TED Talks, just the most inspiring, incredible, educational. You'll learn so much from watching these, and I suggested this to you the other day. When you get home, watch all of them. They're incredible, and everyone at home can watch them too. And I think you got an affiliate code for it as well.
Yeah, guys, I gave a 45-minute talk here off the top of the conference. So, yeah, I'm going to put links to that Restream if you're interested in checking this out. As he said, you know, a massive wealth of information coming from Acapulco 2023. So, once again, man, thanks so much for taking some time to speak with us today. Yep.
I should just mention, like, you know, aside from cryptocurrencies, you definitely, gold and silver are good. You know, if all these bank machines go down, if people want to get around the CBDCs, a lot of people will probably start using silver as currency in day-to-day transactions, and gold is a time-tested way to like store your value. They're both still really low priced compared to where I think they should be. So, you know, even if you're new to cryptocurrencies, at least make sure you get some gold and silver.
Yeah, excellent. Again, very, very, very good advice coming from the Dollar Vigilante himself. Thanks again for taking some time to break this all down for us.
My pleasure. Peace, love. Oh, where's Lucy? We don't have Lucy. Yeah. Oh, Lucy, come here.
Lucy Ben.
There we go. Lucy Ben. Yeah, you know some Spanish. Yeah. Peace, love, and if anyone's got any tacos, I'm giving the cash.
All right, guys, my friend Jeff Berwick is absolutely correct. We are heading towards some difficult times. But for those of you who have invested in some cryptocurrencies, a little bit of silver, but especially gold, you're going to be just fine. In fact, you're going to fare off much better than the rest. So I wanted to take a moment today to tell you about my friends at Patriot Gold Group. Guys, when you call the number on the screen, you'll get connected to a free investor's guide. This is a financial consultant who's going to help you set up a plan moving forward. And what these guys specialize in is IRAs and 401ks that are backed by precious metals like gold and silver. It's absolutely awesome. And if you already have an existing IRA, that's okay. These guys will roll it over for you. And you might even be eligible for a no fee for life IRA. Again, when you call the number on the screen, this is a preferred number for Press for Truth viewers. So you're not only going to be helping yourself out as we move towards more difficult times, but you're going to be helping me as well. So it's truly a win-win situation, guys. Don't delay. Call the number on the screen or check the top link in the description below to check out my friends at Patriot Gold Group. And that's it for me. This is Dan and Amanda Dicks signing off here from beautiful Acapulco, Mexico. Stay tuned, guys. We're going to have more video reports coming soon. Peace. We all want truth. The truth will set you free.